Summers and Erik Skopil for educ.com. This was the first day of practice for the Oregon Ducks for the 2013 season. It's been a long day, Erik.
It has been a long day. We had the opening media day, which we actually had a compliance discussion around 10 o'clock and then moved over, and Helfrich made some comment, and then we interviewed some players and then spent 2 hours in this beautiful building, which unfortunately you can't see right now, but we'll have plenty of video of today. And now they've just completed practice, and it sounds like everything went pretty well.
Well, and talking about the facilities, it's almost just overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
And we spent 2 hours in there moving along and starting from downstairs in the garage and going all the way upstairs to the player lounge, and including into the locker rooms.
Yeah.
It is everything.
You put it into perspective. It was about an hour and 50 minutes to, traverse 6 floors of a brand new building, and it's pretty incredible. And we'll have more details on that on the website, but it's pretty phenomenal, and you can tell there's a lot of excitement just about having that implemented and put into place.
Well, the morning started off, as you say, we spent a little time with the compliance office, us and probably about 50 other media folks, just talking about general compliance things. Then we moved on into player and coaching interviews, and we'll have some video up of Mark Helfrich. But we had a chance to sit down and talk to some players.
Yeah. I spoke with a number of guys, and we'll have written updates on that. I think one of the more interesting things was about Tyson Coleman. Had the opportunity to sit down for a pretty extended interview with him and talked about him. It seems like he's 100% now. He had experienced a foot injury, broke I think he said the 4th metatarsal on one of his feet, and it sounds like he's full go and will be ready to go. And obviously, we talked about, Robbie and I did in the podcast this last week, at running back and linebacker seem to be the 2 question marks. And I had the opportunity to speak with Coleman and Boseko Lacombo on the linebacker side, and they frankly feel pretty comfortable and pretty confident about what they've got going there. And the same thing can be said about running back. I had the opportunity to speak with Byron Marshall and DeAnthony Thomas. Still uncertain exactly to what we'll see from DeAnthony in terms of what position. Obviously, should be a lot of touchdowns.
Well, I also had a chance to swing by and talk to Byron Marshall. DeAnthony Thomas, there was a lot of people around him, so
he's popular.
It's hard to get to him. But Byron Marshall, I think he knows obviously he's going to see a lot of carries this year, and he's ready. He said he was ready to go. He
said it was a big help having Kenyon Barner last year to kind of help him along, and having that 1 year, I don't think he could really put into words how much that had meant. And obviously I asked him, is there a little more pressure now? Because, Oregon's kind of been considered, I don't want to say running back you, but there's so much prestige around being an Oregon running back. And he kind of shook that question off and said, no, he's comfortable. There's no nerves. He's ready to go.
Well, one of the other things, last week when I was down to the Pac-12 Media Day in Los Angeles, Coach Mark Helfrich went to some lengths to talk about working with Marcus Mariota and his leadership, trying to get him to talk, be more vocal.
Yeah.
So I brought that up and asked Marcus about that, and Marcus said, well, I'm not
a rah-rah guy. I think that's what he said.
Yeah, not a rah-rah guy, but he is working on that leadership skill. I don't know that that's a major thing that's a problem. It's just something that everybody has to do something to get better, and that's the thing he's working on.
Yeah, and he and a number of guys, and we touch on this all the time, but you can just see a noticeable difference in terms of their bodies. They put on weight. They look like they're ready to go. So it should be exciting, and it's hard to take much away from this opening day. And I asked a couple of players, how do players look? How do they look in summer drills? And they kind of shook it off, because you can't really take a whole lot from right now, but it's cool just to kind of have everything underway.
Well, we just got a chance to listen to Nick Aliotti, who's the dean of the coaching staff, and it's typical coach talk. Well, I'm not real happy, but we'll get better.
So. Yeah, and he's not one that you're going to expect to get a lot out of, especially early. If we're talking about true freshmen and the incomers, everybody's a little reluctant to say much of anything, because there's so much going on. There's such a learning curve, but I will say that Helfrich, and you'll see this in the video, highlighted the offensive line, and especially one of the unheralded recruits, Elijah George, as being one of the standouts. So as a Duck fan, offensive line, obviously, it feels like a position that has a lot of strength, but always good to have more bodies out there that they feel like are equipped to go in and produce.
Well, the Ducks obviously are favored to win the Pac-12 and are currently preseason ranked number 3 in the country. So we'll be back here tomorrow to see how day 2 goes. Players are now walking back out from practice. They look like they're in pretty good spirits, walking a little bit slower than usual. So
slower than this morning, probably.
Yeah, and today was a warm day for them. So tomorrow probably is going to be more of the same. So until then, this is Steve Summers with Erik Skopil for Educ.com.